Okay, guys, we're back. It's recording, and let's come on over here. All right, so we're gonna show the difference between overriding and overloading. Okay, so now here, what we've done is we have, and I did the B1 because I realized there were some issues with naming the class the same thing in separate files because there could be issues with that. So here we have in class B, we have a void double method that takes a double parameter and prints whatever that parameter is times 2. So if we pass it 1, we'll get printed 2. Okay. Now A1 extends B1. So what happens initially is when we have it extends, it's like saying, okay, create a copy of this method here. Okay. But then when in an A1 we write a method with the same signature, it's like this previous method goes away. It just goes away. Yes, you should be seeing my screen. Are you not able to? Okay. It may just be an issue with yours, Tarana, maybe. Hopefully it's on the recording at the very least. Okay, so then that method goes away. So now, right, so now if I were to call P with a double parameter, it's going to use this for A instead of this one. So now if I run this, and I'm going to do something else here. I'm going to do B1. B equals new B1. Let me do it this way with the B values here instead of A. All right, compile this. Okay. Now let me step through. Now what's going to happen when it gets here, it's going to go first to A and look for a P method that can take this type of parameter. It says, oh, that can take this type of parameter. I'm going to call that one. So it's going to go into here. It's going to print 10. Let me scroll. Let me do this just a little bit so I can see better. 10. Okay. And then it's going to say, okay, now look for one that takes this type of parameter. Well, that one takes a double. So it's going to do that again. And then B, it's going to say, okay, can I find one of those type? Yes, I can. So it's going to print 20 and then do that again. Okay. So that was overriding. No. That was, yes, this was overriding. Overriding, taking the same method again. Okay. This, on the other hand, is overloading. So remember, the first thing that happens when A extends B, the first thing that happens is it says, I want to create copies of all the public methods that existed. So it says, okay, I'm going to create this. Now, when we write this is a different method signature. So instead of being a double, now it's an int. So now it keeps both of them. It's now overloaded. We talked about that last semester. It's now overloaded, which means there are two methods with the same name, but have different parameter types. Okay. So now let's see what's going to happen when we do this. I'm going to do that B stuff again too, so you guys can see that. Because here's where it gets fun, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to try to call a P method with 10. Now I have two options, don't I? I could give this one, and I could give this one. But which one is it going to choose? Because now I have two methods, right? Which one is it going to choose? What do you think? Somebody? Let's take a look. Some of you are saying, right, int. Right. Remember, what it's going to do is when it has two options, it's going to try to find the one that fits exactly. So up here, 10 is an integer, so it's going to try to do the integer method. All right. So it goes and does the integer method. It prints, where are you? 10. But then when it gets to this one, this double, it has two options again. It's not going to work here. It will work here. Right. So now it'll print this one out instead. Okay. Now what about here? What's it going to do now? Which one? This method or this method? Saying double. You guys are all saying it. Right, exactly, Rejep. The B2 class doesn't have both methods. It only has the one. So it's going to, if I can step in. Okay, there it goes, right there. Yep, it went into the double method. Printed out the 20. And then it did it again. Okay. All right. So now that is why the overloading overriding distinction is so important. One thing also that I said I would do for you guys is we would talk a bit about the toString method. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important is that sometimes we want to be able to quickly print an object, information about an object. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an object to call of my class. Then I'm going to print the toString method from the my class. Okay. Let me save this. Trying to do things too quickly. Okay. So now when I run this, it's going to print the toString method, which for objects generally is going to be the class type and some information like it's like has to do with its address and stuff like that. Okay. Now the reason why this becomes important is because there's a quick way to do this whole toString thing. So let me override the toString method real quick and show you. Okay. So now when we do this, now I've overridden the toString method that I got from the object class. When I run it, now I get this. Right? So when I print out the toString method, I get that. But the reason why this is important to have the toString method is if we just say, I want to print that object. I just want to print that thing, whatever that is. Okay. I can do that. Because when I give this variable, it accesses this object, and if I'm doing anything string related, displaying it, whatever, using it as part of a string concatenation, it's going to automatically go get the toString method, right? And just to show you, I'll even change it here. All right. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to go through all this is because and why I said it was important is when we look at these examples. Oh, yeah, you can't see this part. All right. Let me go back and share this part here. This example from the assignment 1 here, notice that I printed C. C is a course object, right? I printed C, which means it called the course toString method when I printed that. So this would produce the course toString method. All right. So that's important for you to know that when you call this object, when you go and you get that object, it's going to be the toString method. So if I took the toString method out, instead of getting some type of compiler error, instead of getting a compiler error that says, hey, there's no such thing as a toString method in there, it's saying, nope, I'm just going to use something else. I'm going to use the native toString method. So that's why the object class has a toString method. Okay. All right. Hope you guys are clear on that. So, by the way, I'm giving a quiz. So hopefully it's available now. You guys have the remainder of the class time to take this quiz. And it shouldn't be too difficult. It's basically just a refresher, programming refresher from CSE 101. So it's nothing of the super new material, but I just want to see, where you guys are in terms of what you remember from last semester. All right. So I'm not going to take any more of your time. I'm going to let you go ahead and get started on the quiz and just submit that before the deadline. There will be no late submissions, so it's like something like 4:35 is when it won't accept submissions anymore at all. So make sure you get it in under the deadline. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of the afternoon and do well on the quiz. See you guys next week.